Hello, I'm Elizabeth, an obsessive backyard gardener who might be able to offer you a couple of tips.
And I'm Keith, a landscape consultant, and I'm also passionate about gardening.
The one thing we both have in common is muddy boots. Muddy Boots is proudly sponsored by Clyde Compost, the premium compost trusted by gardeners who want results. Packed with goodness, free from nasties, and perfect for healthy soil and thriving plants. Visit ClydeCompost.com and don't forget to tell Vince that we sent you there.
Absolutely.
On today's podcast, we're welcoming back a familiar name in the world of plants and sustainability, Dominic Hooghuis. Many of you will know Dom as one of the original founders of The Plant Runner, a brand that changed the way home gardeners care for their plants. Dom has since branched out on his own, focusing his time on his horticultural consultation and garden maintenance business, helping people to create healthy, thriving green spaces. But Dom is not here to talk about that today. He has some very exciting news about the launch of a brand new product. That product is a compact, beautifully designed worm farm that can fit into any garden, from a balcony garden to a veggie patch and any other little small spaces. Yep. And he's going to tell us about it right now. Dom, thank you so much for coming back. So
Welcome,
lovely
Dom.
to see you.
Welcome.
Thanks, guys. Great to see you both as well.
You're in the Muddy Boots seat again, second time, which is very exciting.
In the new garden, but your garden's looking amazing, Elizabeth.
Thank you. That is very kind. Thank you to Keith, really. I'm maintaining it, but he designed it, so I appreciate
good
it.
combo.
We're not talking about that now. Dom, you've been very, very busy. Please tell us about this exciting new product, what it's called and what it does.
Okay, yeah. So Wormley's been in the works for a long, long time. I think 3 or 4 years ago, I approached a friend of mine, Torbjorn. He's a 3D designer, product designer, and I saw an opportunity there to create something that had been sort of in the back of my mind for quite some time, working in the garden. And I'd been building worm farms myself and putting them in my garden and experimenting with them. And I thought, geez, wouldn't it be good to build some worm farms that we could put into smaller gardens, balcony gardens, apartments, things like that, where people don't have the opportunity to compost as easily. Yeah. And so Torbs and I sat down and we worked on a design for an in-ground worm farm, big enough to sort of have a capacity to get some, good compost made up pretty quickly, but small enough also to go inside a pot even, or put multiple worm farms in a garden. So, yeah.
Okay, so
here we are.
So Wormley can be dug into the ground. Is that what you're saying?
That's what it is. It's an in-ground worm farm. Yes.
Because we've got some boxes here, but we haven't actually opened them, so we need to have a look. But we'll show you some photos.
Yes.
Obviously
This is
later.
going to be an interesting concept.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
Yeah. So the challenge for us was, I think, trying to find a manufacturer, because we initially set out, we thought, okay, well, the only sort of material we can use for a product like this is plastic. So we thought, okay, well, let's divert ocean-bound plastic and recycle it and manufacture these products out of ocean-bound plastic. So at least we're taking plastic out of the environment. But something didn't sit right with me, putting more plastic into the ground. I don't like seeing people putting things like weed mat in the garden, and it just does my head in.
Definitely not the way to go now.
And I think, you're using this compost to fertilize your plants, and then you're eating those plants. We don't want more microplastics going potentially through worms. I'm not sure if they can do that. But so we took 3 years to try and find a manufacturer that could build or create or manufacture, these products out of biodegradable plant-based materials that would eventually break down also, but over a long, long period of time.
So it took you 3 years to find someone who could do that?
Yeah, we shelved the product because after, spending a long time, and I'd had experience in sort of sourcing manufacturing through the Plant Runner, and I just contacted a lot of potential manufacturers, and nobody could help us out, and it was just too expensive. It was like, $30,000 just for the tooling, for the blow molds, for things like that. So we sort of gave up and put it up on the shelf, and then
Too hard,
yeah. So and then we sort of discovered this new method of manufacturing, and so we started creating them. It's a bit small scale, but it's
So how did you create them? When you say you're actually creating them yourself, you're manufacturing them yourself, or you've got a company doing it for you?
Yeah, no, we're manufacturing them locally in Bayside, Melbourne.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're using a cornstarch based. It's like they call it a bioplastic, so it looks and feels sort of like an earthy plastic, but it's not actually the same as petroleum-based plastic. It'll break down in the soil. In fact, the worms will maybe eventually eat it. So, but it'll take a long time.
It'll become part of the compost,
I'm thinking
part of the
like 6 or
process.
7 years. Yeah,
Fantastic. So eventually it'll just become part of the ground.
that's correct. Yeah,
Isn't that a great idea?
Yeah.
So it's a fabulous idea. So the idea is that you would install these in your own garden,
Yes.
regardless of the size of the garden.
Yes, that's right.
Could be
Keep
big
on
or small.
feeding it from the kitchen scraps.
Yep.
Out of your, and then add to that.
Yep, that's right.
And then just forget about it, but just continually just feed feed
that's
them.
right. Yep, they're
That's
in the
it.
ground. So you're not going to have any unsightly sort of compost unit, sort of that you hide around the back of the garden or the back of the house if you have the space even.
Yeah.
It's in the ground. And you don't have to actively go and take the worm castings out, and the worms are going in and out of the worm farm and spreading those worm castings around the plants for you. They're doing the work for you. You can put them in. You can put multiple wormleys into veggie patches, and you're getting natural organic worm castings feeding your plants.
You also mentioned that they could go into pots. So, because obviously people who have balcony gardens, you can put them in, you'd have a big pot and you can pop them in there and plant something on top.
Yeah, so we've set one up at Torbs' place. We've just got a 400 by 400 mil cylinder pot. Put one wormley right in the middle and planted herbs and veggies and flowers all around it, marigolds and bell peppers and all sorts of things.
I love it.
And we've got a matching wormley. The colour matches the plant, so it looks quite nice. It's like a golden colour wormley.
So you've got a few different colours.
Yes, yeah. There'll be limited edition colours and things like that, and themed. That's the good thing about this manufacturing process, where we can almost customise someone's wormley if they wanted to, as in put their name on it or do a special colour.
Wow.
Yeah.
So explain what's in the actual box.
So what comes in the box, Keith, is your worm farm with a lid that has a locking mechanism and a cylinder. The bottom is opened.
Yep.
There's 2 different size holes all around the wormley, all around the cylinder, and that's to allow the worms to go in and out of the worm farm freely. So you dig a hole about 400 mil into the veggie patch or the ground, and you drop your wormley in. Then you put your food scraps.
Yep.
And you put a little bit of soil or straw on top as well, and then it comes with a cocoa peat or cocoa fibre round insert that you sit and you can wet that, because worms are 80% water, something like that. So they have to, and they breathe through their skin. So so if they're not kept moist, that it's harder for them to breathe and things like that. Not like us, we like to keep our head above water. But
So you're attracting actually earthworms within the soil. You tried to draw those in and give them a place to feed and breed and populate the whole area.
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
So you're not actually putting worms in initially as well. You actually
yes, we are.
Oh, you're doing that as well.
So we'll sell worms. We sell worms on our website.
Yep.
Enough to get one wormly going, and you can buy multiple if you want. But it will attract earthworms naturally. So what that will do is it'll speed up the process of the wormly being activated. So even if you put worms in yourself, say a handful of worms, it probably takes 6 weeks for it to really start to move. And then you start pulling out scraps, and they're just covered in worms.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
fantastic. That's great. Now, just to interrupt, we need to take a quick pause to hear from the people who keep Muddy Boots growing. And today's sponsor just happens to be Dominic Hooghuis and Wormley. So no matter how small your garden or your apartment balcony, you too can turn your kitchen scraps into garden gold. Wormley is a brand new compact and stylish worm farm, as we've just heard, made from plant-based materials that will fit anywhere in your home. With its clever design, it is easy, tidy and perfect for any gardener who wants to make a big impact with small effort. Small worm farms, big impact. Visit wormley.com.au to get your wormley and start turning scraps into healthy, nutrient-rich soil for your garden today. Just picked that up and wrote that then.
Love it.
So, would Wormley be the first worm farm on the market to cater for smaller gardens? Or do you
No, I think
first?
I remember going to a big green store and buying a worm farm, well, maybe almost 10 years ago now, that was made out of a solid piece of cardboard, quite thick, a cylinder. They were quite small, almost too small. So I feel like we've found the perfect sort of size. And that was breaking down too quickly, that one. It broke down within a few months. So it was no good from that perspective. But
so with this one, how long do you think? How many? A couple of years?
Oh, I think you're talking like 6 or 7 years.
Cornstarch takes a fair amount of time to break down.
Right.
Yeah.
And so,
unless you put it, Elizabeth, unless you put it in one of those composting facilities that they speed up the process of composting, where some packaging has to go to, it won't just go into your natural compost and break down very quickly. It has to be heated up, I think, and processed.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
that's
but
good.
it is compostable. Eventually.
And then when it does break down, do you need to replace, or do you think the process will still go on for a period of time anyway?
We'll have to wait and see.
We'll have to wait 6 or 7 years just to see how that all
you come
pans
back
out.
on Muddy Boots in 6 or 7 years and let us know, will you? That'd be amazing. Now, as we just said, the Wormley motto is small worm farms, big impact. So tell us, I suppose you've really told us about the environmental philosophy behind that, but obviously you didn't. It needed to be something that you could that was sustainable.
Yeah,
that was
correct.
Really important to you, obviously.
Yeah, 100%. Well, that was the reason why it took so long to come to market, because we simply didn't want to put more plastic in the ground, recycled or not. So, and then just recently, I was traveling back to Sweden with my wife and kids, and you're walking down a little tunnel to the aeroplane, and they've got all the marketing on the side, and I think it's HSBC Bank or whatever. Sorry, I think I got the acronym wrong there, but I'd come up with Torbs and Penny, who I've been working on this with. I'd come up with small worm farms, big impact, and I thought, that's pretty cool. It's because the idea is that we're diverting a lot of food waste from landfill, which is I think there's every wormly you use for 12 months diverts 26 kilos of CO2 emissions on average. So
That's good.
When I read this little sign, going back to the story, it was something like small things make big impact. I'm like, oh, that's
what
our
you
lot.
need.
That's and
That's
even the
exactly
big
right.
banks are thinking about that as well. So sometimes I think you need to take on that philosophy. A lot of small things can make a huge impact.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one of the interesting things just about that is that, you're converting that vegetative matter into your property, into your ground, which is feeding your plants.
Yes.
Rather than those same scraps going into landfill.
Yes.
Because once they go into landfill,
Yeah.
it's that the actual gases that's being created from that's methane.
Yeah, that's
and
correct.
methane is 43 times more damaging to the environment than CO2.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's just a fabulous way to sort of think and look about just what you're doing for your own personal environment.
That's correct.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's a feel
Your
good
own
thing.
backyard,
absolutely.
Your own home garden.
Yeah, brilliant.
So for people who think, or listeners who think, oh, composting's so messy, it's so smelly, how have you addressed, I guess, by burying it into the ground, you're
Yes.
not dealing with any of that smell as
Yeah,
well?
well, the good thing about worm castings is
mess.
they have no smell. They just smell beautiful and earthy, So
Like a forest floor,
yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's great. Yeah, so and it because you're not handling. I mean, every 6 months or so, I remember I would harvest the worm casting. So I'd take the worms out and I'd put them into a little bucket. I'd take out all the amazing compost, and I couldn't believe how rich this stuff was. Like Clyde compost, just amazing stuff. And I would put that around any plants or vegetables in my garden. I'd put the worms back in and I'd reset my worm farm.
Fantastic.
So that's what you do. You take out the worm castings, but you only have to do that every 6 months or so, and it's fun. It's educational for the kids. It's, it's not really disgusting at all. If you want to, we can wear gloves. I don't.
No, because it's that
Get your
beautiful
fingers
connection.
in. Get your hands in, I know.
I love
know.
getting my hands in
But
amongst all
there are
that.
those
Yeah.
people who don't like putting their fingers in to check the moisture, remember? They just don't want to get involved.
Exactly,
Yeah.
but that's a very interesting point. I mean, I've just answered one of the followers has come to me and said, listen, I've got this tumble bin, putting that compost, all those scraps into it, and I keep tumbling it, but it's useless.
Yeah.
And I said, well, here's some options.
Yeah.
You want just one that's got a connection with the earth.
Yeah.
And then just keep on loading from the top. But the best thing I could suggest to you is go and get yourself a worm farm.
Yeah.
Because they're so much more environmentally friendly.
Yep.
They're so much more useful to have in the garden.
Yeah.
You know, and the stuff's there. And before you're mentioning about taking those castings out and putting them into your actual beds and so forth, the beauty about that is that 100% of what you've taken out of that worm farm and put into your soil is going to be used. It can't wash away. It can't end up in the waterways or anywhere else. It stays in that soil and is utilised by the microbes and the plants and everything else. So it's all taken up from that, which is just fantastic.
Yeah, so the other benefits are that worms, they aerate the soil. It's easier for water to penetrate the soil. You know, if it rains and people go, oh, the garden's been watered, and you dig 1 inch of the soil away and then suddenly it's dry still, even after a full day of rain. So that really helps the soil quality and things like that as well, having the worms in the garden. Yeah.
How can we make worm tea?
Not with this one.
No, because I'm thinking, how do we do that? We'd have to take it out somehow.
Well, the beauty about that is you're going to be harvesting that stuff, so you can actually dilute that down into the water straight away, stir it around, and you've got the best compost tea there is.
Yes, and it's already in the ground, so you don't need to do it. Yeah, it's the worms are going out, they're excreting their worm castings all through the garden, they're coming back in and collecting more food. So, and the worms they eat, here's another fun fact, a worm can eat its own body weight in food scraps in a day, and they multiply a lot. You know, they
big fat worms.
Yeah, big fat worms.
Big fat healthy.
Do you know the biggest worm ever discovered? The longest worm ever discovered was in Africa. It's 6.7 meters long. Oh. Imagine discovering that.
That's a good healthy worm to have in your garden.
Oh, no, 6.7 meters.
And the other very interesting thing about people thinking about their food scraps and putting them out into their garden beds and putting them into this composting system is that everything that passes through a worm's gut is rendered pH neutral.
Yes.
And it kills any disease and pests and all that sort of stuff that could be living in the soil. It just absolutely just cleans them up beautifully.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You know,
I think you're onto a good thing there, Dom.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. The other thing I like too, so I've got a lot of clients and they go, Dom, why isn't my lemon tree growing in this spot or whatever? And I'll do pH tests and I'll check things and I can see straight away if the soil's no good or not, you know. And apart from adding something like, good quality compost like Clyde or whatever, I would suggest just putting 2 or 3 wormleys around the base. Yep. And then, it'll take about 6 months, but you'll start to see some results. You've got a food factory.
Amazing.
And the thing I like about putting wormleys in, say, veggie patches is that, so you're growing food, you're harvesting that food, it's so healthy, you're not spraying pesticides and chemicals on it. You're bringing it in, you're preparing the food, and the peels or the scraps from that you can put back into your wormley, which is feeding those plants, and it goes full circle.
Closed loop.
Exactly.
Closed loop. You know those food scraps don't have any pesticides because you've grown those plants as well. So that's fantastic. Really fun. I think it's
very exciting.
Yeah.
Now we need to know when and where will Wormly be available and how can listeners get one?
Yeah, okay. So our website, wormly.com.au, will hopefully be live mid-December 2025.
That's about now.
Yeah,
it's about now, Dom.
Yep.
When we work out what we're doing, it's about now.
Yep. And if it's not live, we'll have our, you can sign up. We're only launching 100 wormleys for the first drop. So
get in early.
You might need more. You might need more. So what is next for the Wormly brand? Have you got more things on, are you just going to concentrate on this at the moment or is there more in the
No, we're expanding. We've got some ideas. We've got a compost caddy, which will connect to the worm farm in a special way. And worms, there's certain foods that, like us humans, that worms don't like. So, no onion, no citrus.
Yeah.
Actually, if you look at the worms' diet, they're pretty healthy little creatures. Actually,
I've been to a good dietitian.
Yes. Well, if you just follow the worm's diet, then you're probably pretty healthy because they don't. I mean, they don't eat much dairy. The bigger worm farms can take it. We suggest not putting dairy into the wormly, and also no meat products in the wormly.
Okay, yeah.
So, pretty...
Well, that's only going to attract vermin and
that's right.
too. That's the other thing.
So you've got all that information within
all the info. You can scan the QR code on the box and it takes you straight to the website and it'll have all the info. And there's a video that yours truly has created with Torbs about how to use your wormly. And there's also another surprise in the box that is a secret. So you guys will see that when you open your wormleys. But we also want it to be...
Christmas.
it's a Christmas secret. So we'll let we're not going to announce that on the website, or we'll let people.
You've got to buy one to get the surprise.
You've got to buy one to get the surprise, and eventually people will find out because it'll be probably.
We won't tell anyone.
Yeah.
We won't.
Or you
tell
can
anyone.
if you want. Yeah.
No.
Dom, I think it's a wonderfully ethical.
I'm excited. I can't wait to open it up.
Process,
and give it a try. Where are we going to put them? We'll have to work that out. We'll work it out. It's been a great pleasure. Thank you so much. It's been so lovely to see you again, and also to talk about Wormley, from that first spark of an idea to the innovative, it sounds an incredibly sustainable product that has just launched. It's also very inspiring to see how much has gone into creating something that's not only functional and beautiful, but that has also the potential to make a really great environmental difference. So thank you, Dom.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. Great to see you both.
So everyone, wormley.com.au, please do check it out. Congratulations to you and Torbjorn as well for bringing this wonderful idea to life, and thank you so much for joining us on Muddy Boots again.
And if you want one, get in early.
Go for it. Thank you for listening to Muddy Boots. For more information on today's podcast, please go to muddyboots.net.au, and happy gardening.